Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here tonight. And I have to say, listening to all of these women who have just spoken before me, I am just so humbled to be in the company of these fierce, amazing ladies who are just really inspiring to all of us. So I'm grateful to be here. I do want to take a moment to thank you all at Matriarch, not just for putting on tonight's event, but for your unwavering support and commitment to electing working class women, especially when those women may not meet the traditional metrics our current political system has defined. So I'll talk a little bit about my run. I ran for Congress in what is traditionally considered a purple district, although I tested and continue to test the theory that we are actually, in fact, a blue district. My primary opponent was a heavily corporate funded candidate whose family is a political institution here on Long Island. And he's chosen to take very conservative stances on policy that really do not reflect my district at all. So I ran on a very progressive platform, and I did it because I believe in an America that doesn't make people choose between paying their rent or paying for their medication. An America that treats all people equally with dignity, no matter their skin color, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. One that welcomes the stranger, not locks them in cages. An America that believes in bodily autonomy for everyone, not one that creates barriers for poor women to access abortion. I believe in an America that prioritizes the health and sustainability of our planet over corporate profits and campaign donations. And, I ran because we need a government that puts people first. But this America, as we all know, has not been realized yet. We are one of the only industrialized nations in the world that does not have universal health care. We don't have paid family leave, and we're one of a handful of countries that has not ratified the Paris Agreement. But here is the thing, and I think this is the crux of it all. Our problems aren't being solved because those in charge are actively choosing not to solve them. We can have nice things. We can elect to legislate in a progressive way, but our leaders are choosing not to. And so really what it comes down to is representation, right? Like our current laws, they primarily benefit and reflect the will of those who make them, which, as we all know, are primarily white, wealthy men. We need more women in Congress, right? We know that there's 25% of women in Congress right now. Less than half of them are women of color, and there's only 5% of mothers in Congress. And so until we start electing working class women, our laws they'll continue to ignore our needs. This is such an interesting time, Noiki, because we are just a few days away from, the most important election of our lifetime. And this moment will no doubt go down in history as one of the darkest times in our country. We're bordering on fascism. As you just said, the Supreme Court has been unjustly packed, not only with conservative justices, but now with at least two who will choose their personal ideology over the ideals of which this country was built on. And so, the question remains, how will we meet this moment? How will we show up today as women for our granddaughters tomorrow? And how do we normalize the idea that women can not only run, but they can win and they can lead? Just to tell a quick anecdote for me, as a first-time female congressional candidate with no political capital at all, my motivations were challenged all the time. I heard questions like, well, what have you done to deserve the opportunity to run for Congress? Or these undermining questions like, well, you sure? Maybe you should run for school board. Or my personal favorite, why don't you try to fill some potholes first before running for Congress? As if there is some imaginary qualifier to represent one's community, as if to say that even though our planet is on fire and kids are locked in cages and people are dying in the street, we should just keep it status quo because we as women all know why they say that, right? They say this one thing that we hear all the time, which is, I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's something about her that I just don't like, right? But of course, we all know exactly what that something is, because every time a woman steps into her power to run for office, when she dares to shake up the system, when she dares to have the audacity to show up in a space that wasn't designed for her, that's exactly the phrase we hear. So we might as well name it, right? It's sexism, it's misogyny, it's racism, it's xenophobia, it's discrimination. It's deeply rooted. It's a deeply rooted insecurity, born from the patriarchal system that has taught men that somehow they are more than others, right? So I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight. And what I would like to just say to everyone watching, the only way we're going to change the system is by changing our elected officials. So if you are out there and you are considering running for office, I'm here to say, do it. Okay. Run for office. And for everyone out there who, believes in progressive policy, please get involved, join this movement, because here's what I know. Here's what I've learned. In order for more of us to win, more of us need to run. And for more of us to run, we need more of us to pitch in. So that means every phone call, every canvas, every conversation, every donation helps us move and build this movement. Each of us that step up to these challenges help us pave the way for future progressive women to not only run, but to win. And every action we take, every office we run for really brings us closer to the progressive policies we know we must enact if we're ever going to realize the idealized America that we were all promised. So even if you don't win, right? I didn't win my primary, but we changed the shape of Long Island politics. A progressive had never run for Congress in my district. And now we know that we not only inspired more people to run, but we showed that there is a path to victory. And now forever, my campaign will be part of the story that helped shift that change on Long Island. So, even if we don't, win, enough votes to move on in the election, we still win because we're moving the movement forward, right? And so here we are, we are a couple of days away. Where do we go from here? How do we meet this moment? How do we do it? We do what generations of women have done before us. We will push the boundaries. We'll continue to show up. We'll continue to run. We'll organize. That is how we're going to win. We must, of course, remember that we are sisters and our destiny is bound to one another. And we must, we will fight together. We must fight together. We must fight for our dignity. We must do it together. That is so, so important. Lastly, I don't want to take up too much time. I really, from the bottom of my heart, just want to thank Matriarch so much and encourage everybody out there to support Matriarch. I know from very personal experience that they are truly invested in rebalancing the power structure and electing working class women. For me, you all taking the time to invest in my campaign and provide early guidance and really building that sisterhood of support was something that really made my campaign very enjoyable. It's something I'll never forget. And I will, of course, always support you. And I just want to do a quick shout out to our, my fellow Matriarch endorsed candidates, Cori Bush and Marquita Bradshaw. I can't wait for you to push the boundaries in DC, see what y'all got. And a quick shout out to Christine Pellegrino, who's running right here in my home state. Give them hell, ladies. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's a real pleasure to be here.